All right, so now we're going to turn the tides just a little bit, and we're going to move into a very interactive session. This is a Voice of the Customer session, so if you're interested in voicing some of your feedback around product and CX, we have a panel of amazing CX experts who are here to help you. And shortly after Shawna and Elisabeth are on stage, then we're going to bring up Diane and Cheryl, and this is another one of those sessions that is very Twitter-worthy. It's a great opportunity to snap some photos, get some stats down, and they're going to talk about why small businesses have such big demands on them. So regardless, honestly, of the size of the organization that you have, there are some great statistics that will come in handy. And then we're going to round out this session, or this section of our sessions, with a deep dive into Explore, and Andrew Forbes, who leads that organization, is going to be up here talking. And then I also want to remind everyone about the Zendesk Theater. You just heard about Sell and Duet. There's going to be a demo at 1:30 out in the theater, and that will then be followed by Zendesk for Developers, Zendesk for Internal Help Desk, Sunshine Conversations, which we talked about this morning with Mikkel, and then customizing Zendesk Explore, which will be a follow-on to Andrew's presentation in a bit. And then just a quick reminder to please, check out our sponsors, and don't forget about our silver sponsors, which are upstairs on the mezzanine. And with that, I'd like to bring out on stage our Ask Zendesk Anything panel, Catherine Kelly, who will be moderating, Elisabeth Zornes, and Shawna Wolverton.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Voice of Customer in Real Life, where you can ask Zendesk anything about product.
Let's say almost anything.
My name is Catherine Kelly, and I'm Senior Director of Product Marketing at Zendesk. I'll be moderating the session today, and I have two of our leaders, Elisabeth Zornes, Chief of Customer Officer, and Shawna Wolverton, SVP of Product, to walk you through how we incorporate customer feedback into our product. So this is actually an interactive session, and most of our time will be in Q&A, where we'll answer questions, discuss your feedback, and generally have a great time. So how this will work, you can go to slido.com and submit your questions or comments using the code VOCSF. A couple housekeeping notes. Please help us avoid repeat questions. You'll note you can upvote other questions if you really want to hear that answer. Broad feedback and questions are going to be best. Anything incredibly specific to your account configuration will be better served by our advocates who have a booth in the lobby. And it goes without saying, but please be professional and respectful. We're all here to have a good and lively discussion. So while you submit your questions, I'll introduce our speakers, and they'll talk a little more about our Voice of the Customer program. Okay, so let's start with Shawna.
Great. So hi, I'm Shawna Wolverton. I'm just about coming up on a year here with Zendesk as the head of product. So I manage all of our applications as well as the platform portfolio, and looking at all of you to get input and feedback on our roadmap.
You can click for me.
I will click for you. Awesome.
It's teamwork here.
Teamwork.
So Elisabeth Zornes, I'm the Chief Customer Officer, your Chief Customer Officer at Zendesk. I started about 6 months ago, and it's been an amazing journey ever since. One of the things I really feel passionate about, and my team can speak to that, is to put the customer in the center of everything we do, in really understanding that full life cycle journey for the customer. And with that, the Voice of the Customer program has always had a very special place in my heart. So I'm very curious about your questions, as well as excited to share with you what we are doing already, what the program is about, and how we are getting all the input from you and all of our customers around the world collected and integrated. So it's a program that's actually been around for a while, since 2014. So we had some experience to start run it and to sharpen the process and to learn from it. And we're getting about 1,500 submissions per year. And those come in through a number of different channels. So we are kind of omni-channel in that as well. We are having, getting direct feedback from customer conversation. We are looking at all the tickets we are getting in our advocacy team and what the questions or requests are from our customers from there. We are asking our customer success organization with regards to their interactions with you. And we're collecting all that feedback into the program. We had about more than 12 features already in the roadmap the last 6 months. And when we say features, these are really big, heavy-hitting changes. We'll give you a couple of examples in a little while. And 57% roadmap alignment, which I think is pretty awesome. But Shawna and I, as we are co-sponsoring that program, we are holding ourselves accountable to get to a higher roadmap alignment between what we are hearing from our customers and what the product team can work on. So again, think of it as a virtuous cycle. We are starting with a collection of the information, so getting all the inputs in. Then we are analyzing and synthesizing it, so understanding better on how those different pieces might fit together, how different requests might enhance each other, what the specific recommendations could look like, and what, quite frankly, the impact would be as well for you as customers. How important is it? How hard is it to do? We go into a prioritization, and then, we develop and continue to iterate on that process, as well as communicating back to our customer community and making sure that we are actually closing the loop between the request and then the implementation. So that's our little process, heavily data and insights driven, and I have to say it's always amazing and mesmerizing as we get this information in, then to get into the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're always good conversations, but voice of the customer isn't the only thing that drives our roadmap. We have a lot of great ideas from the community. There's market pressures, competitive products, what our sort of long-term strategy is, a lot of work we have to do sometimes on infrastructure and reliability. We want to keep the service healthy for all of you. So it's great to hear from everyone and get this feedback, but it's definitively not a contract. It's a great avenue, but there's a whole bunch of other things that we get to do. Oh, good, it is in there. I was like, sometimes Mikkel has great ideas. That's always a big fun input to our roadmap as well. Let's see, what do we have? So I wanted to just go through real quick and cover some of the things that came really through Voice of the Customer that we've delivered so far this year. We're super excited about this one, Contextual Workspaces. We heard a lot about how when you have a really complicated instance and there's a lot of great tools you're using, you want to bring the ones that are most useful to your users to them at the right time. So this was a great way for us to help do that. And Elisabeth, this came through something you were working on?
Yeah, that came actually from you guys, from our customers, telling us that sometimes there is a lot of different macros that they develop in their particular environment. And sometimes it's hard for the agent to find exactly the right one. And scrolling through long lists of finding the right macro and then doing the right workflow as a result of that made it kind of cumbersome as you grow as an organization and as your own areas continue to evolve and to expand. So there was this great idea to say, hey, is there a way to make it more contextual? So if I already know what this is about, is it possible to have like an intelligent list that allows me to only see those macros that might be most relevant for me in this particular situation? So boom, that was the birth moment of Contextual Workspaces, at least the idea, and then you guys took it from there and built it, and here we are.
Exactly. This came out in January. We've already had over 1,500 customers take this on. And then, I know we talk a lot about, no, I'm going to probably press it, and then we're going to go too far. and then I'm going to have to figure out how to go backwards. Oh, there it is. Great. Thank you. Oh, see exactly what happened. I'll just talk about custom objects. We talk about custom objects a lot as part of the Sunshine platform. It was definitively a thing that was started out as a great idea from our customers. We heard it over and over, this idea that we needed data that was related to tickets and users, and so that really was not only a great idea that came from the customer to solve a particular problem, but really was the genesis of a lot of what we're doing on Sunshine.
Yeah, and that is, you know, you guys heard it as well in the keynote earlier this morning when Mikkel spoke about some of the information around a user, not only who are they, but what is their stuff, right? And what is it they want to do with it. So to correlate that type of information and then being able to bring that all back to the work environment of the agent to have access to that information and then do the, you know, a streamlined workflow. What that also does for us as a practitioner, as you guys, I assume many of you are practitioners every day, if it allows you to go away from the swivel chair environment, you know, where you have one screen with the agent looking at, you know, maybe the support workflow, and then another one looking at their assets or their ordering history, and another one looking at, you know, delivery logistics. So the different pieces, and bringing that together is quite magical.
And lastly, we have team publishing, this idea of, you know, very rarely is a great knowledge base built by one human alone. It's almost always a team effort. And we heard a lot from customers about the specific tools we needed to provide for content managers, for the workflow of reviewing and approving and publishing and sort of unpublishing content. So we're really excited about the work we did earlier this year. It's, you know, articles that used to sort of take days now, or weeks are now kind of into 1 to 2 days. So we're excited about that. And then I thought we would do a little, I'm afraid of the button, there we go.
Do you need a new clicker?
I might need a new clicker. You know, not everything we do that we get from voice of the customer is a giant sort of a feature that's going to be on a press release, but there are you know, dozens of things that we're working on all of the time, and everything on this list behind me, you know, from conditional ticket fields to you know, Slack and side conversations are things that came really first and foremost through the community. And you know, we have more on the way. We have the idea of an omni-channel workspace that we have in development. There's bringing the chat and messaging UIs directly into where you're managing tickets and taking phone calls, and really allowing agents to have the flexibility to work through any channel. And some great new features coming around article events and user segments. So we wanted to just do a really quick look through that and save most of the time that we had for your questions. We have some good questions coming in. Catherine.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, guys. That was really informative. Thank you.
Before we jump into the questions, you guys, whatever we are not able to cover, you should stop by, no matter what, at the Voice of the Customer booth. So there's a booth out there. We have a dedicated, designated team that runs that Voice of the Customer process, which is awesome. So we have some folks out there that can help, you know, take you through the process, as well as, you know, provide additional information, and if there are additional thoughts and ideas that we might not be able to cover right at this moment, that's a good place to go as well.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So we are actually going to bring out a couple more product experts to help answer all these questions. So I'd like to welcome them to the stage. So we have Jason Maynard in charge of our Guide and Explore product, Mike Gazzo for the newly launched Sunshine Conversations, Luke Benke, who's in charge of the Zendesk platform and our core services offerings, David Williams, who runs support and suite, and John Aniano, our VP for the Cell product. I was like, where are they? Welcome. Thank you. Great. Welcome. All right, we will get started. Okay. So the first question is a little bit meta, but it's if you currently don't have VOC, what's the best way to get company buy-in to establish one? So maybe you guys can speak a little bit to that.
Yeah. So maybe I'll start, and then Shawna, if you wanna add to it. I think really two things need to come together. One is capturing requirements and creating visibility into those requirements from a customer base. Many of you will have a cloud-based business with recurring revenue. And when you think about that, serving the existing customer base is just as important as serving new customers. So with that, we always want to strike a balance. So with the CX organization, as we have so much visibility into what customers are asking, we're in a unique position to collect those requirements and then aggregate them in a way that they really send a strong message in terms of how do we need to serve our existing customer base to help them be successful, grow, and accelerate. And then obviously, the partnership with product is super important because this is where the handshake needs to occur. So we look at, I look at Shawna really as my partner in crime, and we have a very strong partnership that we built up around that.
And there was a little talk I did on stage this morning about Gather, and if you don't have a place yet to start getting feedback, it feels a little dirty, but we have a great product that allows you to kind of have a place where you can start getting some gravity around those ideas, and it is often, a community is often sort of where a voice of the customer effort starts. Whether you're asking for it or not, when you sort of reach some level of success, people will find a way to ask for things, and it's best that kind of you do that in a way that's part of your own environment where you can be involved in that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to hop to one for our VPs. It says, Zendesk is obviously growing and adding new products. How do we balance new product development versus enhancing and improving our existing or core products? And I know you guys have a range of those decisions every day, so.
Cool. I can start. So I think it's definitely a balance, and we as a product team talk a lot about how we don't just launch products and then it's done. A product is something that you need to invest in over time, and especially as a SaaS company and the service that we provide, it's an ongoing investment that you have to keep working on. So we have lots of ways that we think about sort of launching products, but then spending time with customers, iterating on them, and that's really baked into everything that we do around the product development lifecycle and talking to customers and continuing to iterate on products. So I think it's probably an outsized investment in existing products. 80% of the time is thinking about growing and building the products we have, and then we have sort of these concerted efforts to go and launch new products and have new capabilities for our customers.
Yeah, one just quick thing to add is because we have products at all different stages of maturity, from support that's been around for 12 years and new products that we're just introducing now, we sometimes dedicate teams to those different efforts. And within support, we try to balance keeping the lights on and all the things we have to do for you to make sure our product scales and performs as you expect it to as more customers join and use Zendesk, and as your businesses grow and we have more and more tickets and conversations happening with customers. Our first priority is on making sure we meet your needs today, and then our priorities beyond that go into iterating on the existing product and then trying to be innovative and doing things that you may need but you haven't yet articulated the need for, and trying to stay ahead of the curve. But we try to balance it within the support product that way.
Great. Shawna, I'm going to combine two questions for you. Okay. So one is sort of around more broadly, what are the most exciting trends that you see in CX? But then also, what future Zendesk products are you most excited for? So I'm thinking those two things could be related.
Yeah, and they are related. I mean, I think one of the things we're seeing a lot of is around messaging and this sort of conversational experience with customers, whether it's through social channels or private messaging, and a just big move to that more casual, more personal support style. And I think with Sunshine Conversations and Sunshine generally as an offering that we have across events and profiles and conversations, so that you have a deep understanding not just of what your customers have and what they're doing on your website or in your stores or through your applications, but all of the conversations you're having. And so conversations are awesome in the future, and Sunshine is going to be amazing.
Very cool. This one's for you, Elisabeth. What are some of the biggest mistakes you've made in scaling your support team that other growing teams can learn from? So,
do we have a lot of time? I want to say one of the areas, if I was to think about that, I would double down on data and understanding best what our customers are asking for and how we can serve them better. So I would say I would double down on data, machine learning, and then using those insights to hone our motion, not trying to do everything great at the same time, but be very specific and use the data and the machine learning to guide your efforts.
Great. A related question that maybe our VPs can weigh in on, there are many product options within Zendesk. We can't tackle it all at once. Is there a recommended order for emerging businesses? So a little bit, where do you focus?
Thanks, David. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we have a growing family of products, and I know that while that is great for a lot of our customers who have complex needs and want to serve customers on different channels or have different elements of the business work together, it can also feel a little overwhelming. I think with the suite, we've really tried to make that process as sort of simple as possible, right? You get started, you set up a couple of email addresses to start flowing into Zendesk to respond to, with tickets, et cetera. Quickly deciding which parts of your website or your mobile app you want to put live chat on. And then from there, really, what we find is customers, after they've turned on a few channels, it's really obviously important as a very immediate next step, maybe even before, to get your knowledge base together, right? That's the way in which you scale your customer support operations. If you are bot curious or want to think about that, you need content. You need something that the bot can listen to and read off of. Our own answer bot does that, right? It looks at what kind of requests are coming in and tries to compare it with the content that your team, your agents and supporting teams are curating. So, there's no one answer for everyone, but we've tried to make it as simple as possible, I'd say, with the suite to get started across our family of products without feeling like you need to set everything up all at once. And then hopefully the product sort of grows, you grow with the product grows with you, you find little things tucked in that really start to solve the problems you have as you get going.
Great. I think this is a great question. What would you suggest to increase the visibility of my agents' Zendesk activities and performances? So I think it's looking at, from a product perspective, right? How do you think about highlighting the work that the agents are doing and try to amplify that?
Maynard has the answer.
I can tackle that one. So I think we have a product called Explore, which gives you analytics on not only what your customers are doing, but what your agent teams are doing. That's a great way to get started. We have some pre-built dashboards that help you, are a great way to sort of go to if you're checking in with your teams. They have agent by agent, all the activity that they've done in the last week, what their CSAT was, what problems they had to escalate to other teams, and that's a great place to get started. If you want to go into more detail, we have something called the time tracking app, which is in our marketplace, which is a great way to start tracking in more detail how much time your teams are spending on different types of issues. So the time tracking app starts capturing that data in terms of what agent is spending on time on each ticket with each customer, and then you can start breaking that down by the other metadata you collect. So if you collect what tickets are about, you can see how much time you're spending on bugs coming from customers versus different questions that are coming in. So, get started with the out-of-the-box dashboards, install the time tracking app, and then start breaking down what your teams are working on.
Great. So this one is specifically about support, kind of looking at the most efficient ticket views you've seen for small business and making their small support team very effective and efficient. Do you have any recommendations for how they can improve customer experience success?
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit earlier today. Even for a small team who's just getting started, you can have one group who's handling all of your incoming tickets, and Zendesk is going to help that team ensure that you respond quickly to customers, you don't let anything fall through the cracks, and that you don't answer twice to the same customer. Having, like, the first step after that, I think, is having a knowledge base that your agents can use. You may not benefit as much from self-service when your volume is still low, but having your agents share information with each other without having to just tap each other on the shoulder and be in the same room at the same time. They can start to record answers to commonly asked questions and start to use each other's knowledge so that they can answer things a lot more quickly and a lot more consistently. I think even at small scale, you get incredible value from that because people are learning while they're still responding quickly, and they're helping each other in responding to customers. The next thing that we're seeing is even small organizations are adopting multiple channels, and you've got to think very, very early about how you're going to staff for that. So to make your small team effective today and know how you want to grow it in the future, if you're thinking about staffing for email-based tickets versus live chat or phone calls or messaging covering both bases, you really have to think about what you want the experience to be so that team can be successful. If they've got the right channels in hand and they're working together, they're going to be able to scale smoothly and add people as needed for the right things.
Great, thank you. I think we have time for one more question. I think this is a good one because it sort of wraps the two sides of the stage together. As a product team, what information do you think is most valuable that a CX team can provide? And so maybe that's something that a few of you can weigh in on.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't fight.
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you know, I've been at Zendesk now for 4 years and have really seen this VOC program really grow. And you know, for us, it's always hard. Are we looking at you know, big customers? How do we think about the long tail of smaller customers who are also super important to us? You know, and not overweighting the program one way or another can be really critical. And so we look for a mix of that. You know, it's not just deals we lose or big customers that are complaining or the long tail of complaints on our community. I think what we really hope to see from our CX team is really kind of, you know, weighting those requests by the weight of the number of customers who are asking or the size of customers who are asking, not just the loudest ones who are asking, and really helping us with the insights behind it. We have so many data points about things we could build for our product, so many things that as owners of a product we want to build. We would love to build every one of your precious little feature requests, and they're each one is important to a given customer, but to really give us the insights behind how is this affecting us, how is this affecting our customers, how is this affecting our business, and putting, you know, it's our job to figure out what really the root cause of the problem is and how to fix that problem in the product, but the insights we get from Elisabeth's team, who are so close to the customers every day, I think is the really sort of the most important piece that comes along with that product feedback.
You got it.
Thank you. All right, big thank you to all of our panelists up here. Thank you guys for coming out. One quick note for everybody here in the room. Now that we're out of time, if you have any additional product feedback or questions, please do visit our VOC booth, Voice of the Customer booth in the lobby. You can share your feedback there, and you can also get technical support questions answered from our advocacy team. They can provide a little bit more hands-on support for you. But thank you all, and thank you to our panelists.
Thank you, guys.